internet. I'm Angela. I'm a director and creator. We here at Nerdsmith would like to wish you a very happy Nerdsgiving. The time has come for our second annual Nerdsgiving charity event. 2 weeks of playing silly games with our friends while putting a little bit of good back into the world. This year, we are supporting Heifer International and their fight to end hunger while caring for the earth. They gift families and communities income-producing animals and provide the training to turn those animals into sustainable businesses. For the next 2 weeks, that's November 1st through the 15th, we here at Nerdsmith will be running animal-themed RPG one-shots and giving away delightful prizes during the streams. Stay tuned on Twitter for the latest show schedule or donate today at fundraise.heifer.org/nerdsgiving. It's bound to be amusing. No, don't cluck up this opportunity. No, just play the outro.
We are Nerdsmith. Bum ba-dum.
No. We're gonna try that again. One more time. From the top. We are Nerdsmith.
Welcome to Nerdsmith, and tonight's episode of Obscurum. I'm your MC, Heath Halbrooks. I am found all over the webs in different places. One of those places is Twitter, as well as Twitch. Twitter, you can find me at DireBearAC. On Twitch, you can find me at the DireBearGM. It is my great pleasure to introduce our crew, and we're going to do that quickly before we launch into some other things. First of all, I'd like to introduce Colton. Colton, tell us a bit about yourself and your character, please.
All right, my name is Colton. You can find me on Twitter at ColtonZ9, or you can follow me on Instagram at ColtonX9. And I will be playing Professor Robert Owens, a entomology professor by day and a British socialite by night.
Excellent. And next, let's go over to Rev.
Hey everybody, I'm Rev. I am the host and GM of The Crit Show, which is an actual play podcast where we play Monster of the Week and other Powered by the Apocalypse games. You can find me on Twitter at Rev Deshane, and I play Dr. Alexander White, who is a doctor by day and something entirely other by night.
All right, let's go over to Nyx.
Hey everyone, I'm Nyx. I am an actor and director and gamer in Chicago. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nyx Tesseract. On Instagram, there is an underscore underneath those two names. And I am playing Yvonne Calloway, a screen actress, and maybe a little bit more than that, but we'll learn more about her as we play.
Excellent. And last but not least, Carl.
Hello, I'm Carl Jordan. You can find me on Twitter as RPG Carl and lurking around Twitch and other channels as Just a Carl. I am playing Jack, the only seemingly normal person in this group that didn't come from a wealthy background. But all of that is now changing for Jack.
Excellent. Once again, as I introduce, my name is Heath, and I'm wishing everyone a happy Nerdsgiving. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to be playing silly games with our friends while trying to put a little good out into the world. Now, this year, as we do every year, we support a little bit of somebody different. This year, we're supporting Heifer International. A percentage of all the bits and the donations and the things that we earned tonight through Twitch will be going towards Heifer's fight to end hunger while caring about the earth. Now, But we need to make sure that you guys donate directly to our Nerds Giving Fund for a chance to win one of our giveaways at the end of our 2-week event. So that's right, 2 weeks. We just started, so we're going to end on the 15th. That's okay. There's plenty of shows still left. As a matter of fact, tomorrow night at 7 p.m., Ren Knoll, one of the DMs here, is going to actually be running a game called The Warren. It's all about rabbits. So don't miss it. And then again on Saturday, we'll have some more shows. Make sure to tune in and see all of those for a chance to win. Donate, give from the heart. We really appreciate it. All right. As I said, my name is Heath. I'm the MC. And without further ado, let's get into tonight's episode. Last week on Obscurum, there was a heist in the bank, and yet, while it was foiled, there was a bit of a mishap, a misstep with one of our agents who revealed a little bit more about themselves. Filling the bank with smoke, they were able to get away, momentarily. Under the disguise of a couple of hapless individuals, one of them being Richard, the boyfriend of the fabled actor Abel Benning, the other one being an unknown thug, they retreated in the getaway vehicle, where they met up with Frank Castelloni himself. As they kept the disguise up, they realized that Frank had an unusual ability. Taking off a glove, he touched one of the failed bank heistmen, turning him to solid gold. Investigating this further led us back to the manor of Professor Robert Owens, where they investigated further, learning that maybe he was the Rift, or channeling Midas himself. Further investigation led Jack down a road to find out that he knocked over a jewelry store, taking the only object he left with were a pair of gloves. Yvonne had a meeting with her father, which went about as well as we expect. Learning that Frank is a dangerous man, something we already knew. As we pick up tonight's episode, Jack is making the beat back to the manor. Yvonne is on her vehicle, traveling back from the meeting with her father, while Dr. White and Professor Owens hang about the manor, investigating more information. Jack, let's toss the spotlight to you.
So, Jack beats the streets of the city. He thinks about how he got here. Like all the talks with the others he's met in the last few days, he keeps coming back to that storm a few weeks ago. Seems like a normal late summer night, as hot as a barber's straight razor, until the rain started. I'd been working a case for a couple of days for a leggy dame in pearls who must have crossed 2 sets of tracks and 3 tax brackets to hire me. Her husband's business partner had gone missing, and I got the feeling she wanted him to stay that way. I was at the docks, working a lead, much like I am tonight, making tick marks in my little notebook for every nickel phone call that I'd be charging the broad and the pearls. I remember feeling hair on the back of my neck standing up at attention. My long-honed detective's paranoia telling me the pot is about to boil. When there was a lightning flash so bright, it made me draw my service pistol and spin around. It must have hit my head or my arm in the spin because my gun hand went numb. That's when the fun started. I could swear I saw something watching me in the rain, but it was no person, just a pair of 2 large eyes in the rainy haze of the alley, like headlights through a waterfall. I took a step toward it and called out, "Whoever's there, I'm armed and itchy, so no funny work." The headlight eyes started to rise into the air, like a circus bear standing up on its hind legs. If the bear were roughly movie theater sized. The rumble of thunder came then, from the same direction as the alley, as if this beast were given a growl to shake the earth. I raised my gun slowly to track the movement, and the glint from the streetlight off the barrel nearly blinded me. I blinked the light and rain from my eyes for just a second, and it was gone. The thunder, the 2 large eyes, the sense of being watched. All gone, leaving me cold and alone, with just my gun to mock my overindulgent imagination. But in the weeks to follow, I would see more strange what's-its seeming to peek out through the darkness or rain or fog. Rarely does the visitor look back at me like on that first night, and no one else around seems to be the wiser. So, I kept my mouth shut. Too common is the tale of an overworked detective going on a forced sabbatical when his marbles don't all make it back in the bag. Until 2 nights ago, that is. I received a mysterious invite to an uppity event on an uppity block of town. Not being one to pass up a mystery, I rented an uppity suit from my local tailor, Pablo, and I went to the strangest award ceremony I've ever seen. There I found 4 other people, including the guy being celebrated, who all seemed to also be going crazy, only they were seeing the same things as me. Long training in detective work into reading people had taught me no 2 crazies will ever see the same color elephant. Yet here I'd found 5, all sharing my waking delusion. So I did what any stiff on the verge of a breakdown would do, and I grabbed onto the edge of this cliff with both hands and threw in with their lot to learn more. And the next day, we found ourselves, despite all appearances, very specifically, not robbing a bank. To save the life of a poor sap, Richard, whose partner, our new pal Abel Benning, had fallen into the crosshairs of a local mob rocket, Frank Casaloni. I knew Frank by reputation, and I could only hope he didn't know me. Luckily, his goons didn't, at least. So when one of them pulled a gun on me in the bank for putting my mug in his recipe, I had a few extra seconds to make a hard decision. What do you do when it's them or you? I plugged him. Only when I let the lead fly, besides kicking off the trouble avalanche in the unsuspecting bank, I started seeing things again. I saw the room grow dark, and time seemed to stretch. I saw an ancient weapon like a spear shoot forth from my hand and seem to tug something out of the back of the goon. I heard that thunder again, like I was back in that alley, and I saw the headlights looking down from above the bank, untroubled by the building in between. I heard a voice in my head telling me a path had just been chosen and the path was death. And just like that, the flash was over. I was back in the bank, quickly rolling up to get out of the way and in the direction opposite the balcony rail, where they would surely be watching patrons. I grabbed Richard and I got back on the plan to get him out. I'd have to worry about what the hell all this meant some other time. Which brings us back to tonight. Beating the streets, aka some other time. What were those eyes? What's this path I've chosen without any warning? And where the hell are the brakes? Or, now hear me out, what if I followed the path? These other people I've found have found some pretty useful seeming powers down their paths out of this madness. Powers that have saved lives. What if I follow mine? How bad could it be, right? Right?
Luckily, tonight isn't anything like that evening a few weeks ago with the rain pouring down. As the sun's setting low on the city, you realize that you've probably come to the end of the leads for tonight. That perhaps your best line would be to retire for the evening, either back to the manor or back to your own place to pick up any messages you might have missed. As you turn your feet to head down the street, we cast the light on a vehicle driving away from a tall building. Yvonne, the light of the day is fading out, but your memory hasn't.
As I look out the window of the car and think back to the conversation that I had with my dad, there's a storm raging in me. And it's reminiscent of a storm about 3 weeks ago, but that's not the storm I'm thinking of right now. I'm thinking of a storm 23 nights ago when I was 6 years old and someone came to wake me up in my room. It was my mother. She was crying. My older brother, James, was gone. He had died. That's all they would tell me that night. I was too young to know more. I was to be protected. And so they sent me off with Lily, my nanny, and a shadow fell over the house. That shadow has never fully lifted. James was my idol. He was 16 when I was 6, 10 years older than me. He was everybody's idol, I think. He was, in my father's eyes, the heir to the family business, Callaway Publishing. But he was so much more than that. And in the shadow of his loss, I knew I could never live up. In those first few weeks after James died, Lily took me to the movies almost every Saturday. And it was there that I started to realize that stories were the way I was going to get through this. Over the years, I started to realize that even the story of who I was and what had happened became part of my shield, my armor. Everything about me was a story. And I channeled that into studying acting, and I told stories on the big screen. And I was good. I've always been gifted at it. I was cast early and often. I was becoming more and more famous and well-known. And then another storm struck the city about 3 weeks ago. And the next morning I was on set. And I'd always been able to immerse myself in the moment, the imaginary circumstances, and to live in those circumstances as if they were real. But that next morning, when the director yelled action and everything was rolling, I blinked my eyes, and suddenly the rain on the pavement was real. I didn't see the grips and the lights and the cables. I didn't see anything but the rain-filled alley that my story had taken me to. I lived the scene. I heard cut, and suddenly everything was back. I shook it off as just having immersed myself so in the moment. But it happened more and more over the next few days. And as I started to experiment, I realized that I could make it happen, and not just when the cameras were rolling. And it was sure a good thing that I could, because boy, has it saved our tails a few times in these last 24 hours.
The car drives on, and the voice you hear from the front seat draws you back to the moment. Where to, miss?
I think back to the professors. I need to report back.
Okay. You give him the address. Sure, I know the place. He hits the flag and starts ticking over as he pulls away. Driving off. Dr. White, having expended your energy to fill the bank with smoke to obscure the retreat of your allies, left you a bit drained. With the help of the cook, Johnson, you're able to scrounge up more than enough food for yourself. And as you sit alone in there with your thoughts, the large bug, a bit disturbing still to watch, but he's quiet, he doesn't say anything. You're left alone with your food and your thoughts. And you drift back.
We see Dr. White sitting at this counter on a chair, and he's thumbing his glasses around between his fingers, looking at them. He's in his late 40s, salt and pepper hair. And as we look at him, we see about 5 or 6 years melt off of his face, and all of the hair become dark. And the camera pans back, and we see that he is sitting in that same position, flipping the glasses around in his fingers, staring at a hospital bed. There's a little girl asleep in the bed, hooked up to 4 machines. And we can see he makes a decision, and he stands up and he walks to the door and looks out to make sure there's no one in the hallway. And he puts the glasses on. And as he does, smoke starts to pour down his body, and this plague doctor visage appears, long beak, black robes, sharp hat. And then we see from his point of view through these lenses. And it's almost like having a kind of heat vision. He can see the little girl. He can see her form, though, not her. And he can see all these colors inside of her. And there he spots it. In the left lung, there's something black and twisting. And he thinks in his head, pneumonia. I almost missed it. And he leans in and the glasses begin to glow. Like there's a fire behind them. And this light washes out over the little girl's body. And from his point of view, we see this black shrivel up. And then it's gone. And then suddenly the camera pans around to the point of view of the little girl, and we see this figure floating there. And the little girl sits upright and screams at the sight of this figure in her room. And all he can think of is to not be there. And suddenly he is smoke. He's not surrounded by it. He is smoke, and he is flowing out of the window across the street to the park. And then he stops and pulls the glasses off. This is not something he's ever experienced before. He doesn't understand what just happened. But he takes it for a good thing, because he looks up and he sees across the street in the hospital room, the lights kick on and nurses go in and start asking the little girl what's wrong. And his stomach growls, because that is the one thing that he knows, is that whatever this is, when he heals somebody, it takes something out of him. And he tucks the glasses back into his jacket and starts to walk across the street. And as he does, we see the first threads of gray that have appeared in the back of his hair.
Drawing yourself back in from that memory, the events of the last day or so fresh in your mind and bringing all of that back to the forefront. Professor Owens, you're in your library, looking over the books that Vespa brought for you. And as you pore over them, you find a note written by your own hand, maybe? But either way, it takes you back to a memory, a time not right now.
The memory it takes me back to is the first day of my studies in America. My uncle, the person who just had brought me there and is taking care of all my college expenses, is in the car with me as I step out to begin graduate studies at State University. We both sort of nod at each other, shake hands, and I get out of the car. Take a deep, deep breath in, and I exhale. Then I look at my clock and I realize I'm 5 minutes late for my first appointment. Skipping forward a few years, a month before graduation, my uncle, Sir, unfortunately, had died in the Distraught, I continued my studies, even though I couldn't focus on it. Luckily, there was a man, my advisor, Dr. Heinrich Goldman, who helped me get through it and graduate. And, luckily enough, as soon as I graduated, the university decided to take me in as a professor of myrmecology. Skipping forward about 6-7 months, a storm hits as I'm entertaining a few guests, friends of my uncle. I start to feel ill, and I try and get them out of my house as quickly as possible without being rude, of course. I wake up the next morning feeling much better. Deciding to take a walk around town, I do. And then 2 people, both dressed in ratty attire, bring me into an alley and beat me up. They take my wallet, and before they can leave, a surge of power bursts from me, hitting a wasp and a housefly, which both turn into humanoid form. As I pass out, I see these 2 humanoid forms chasing after the 2 people that beat me up, that mugged me. I wake up in the emergency room with a wasp and housefly as humans standing right by my bedside. I, of course, freak out, because, that's not normal. But after I realize they do what I say after saying, get the hell away from me, I realize, oh, okay, these might be mine.
Jarred back to the present day, your memory, as there is a sound of the door to the main manor opening and closing. Slipping in the way he does, unseen by most. Jack arrives back at the manor. Hot on his heels, the squeak of brakes and the Studebaker mark the arrival of Yvonne Calloway. The team is back together with some information to share. You all make your way into the foyer of the manor. Who's going first?
Jack, were you able to find anything?
Yeah, I found something. A lead, at least. But, you look like you got a lot of trouble hanging on you. Why don't you go first?
The trouble I brought has nothing to do with our current circumstances. It's family issues. My father didn't really know anything more than what we already know. Frank Castelloni is a dangerous man. We knew that. Frank Castelloni is probably doing illegal things to get his money. We knew that too. The only thing that he said that could have been a clue was that if he needed a lot of money, it may be to be repaying a debt. But that was totally conjecture on his part. He had no idea if that was an actual situation. It was just the only thing that he could think of that might lead to Frank needing a lot of money quickly.
All right, that makes sense. All I really got to the bottom of was when all this started, back during the storm. Shortly afterwards, he apparently commissioned something from a jeweler and turned the jeweler into gold. But the only thing he left the shop with were that pair of gloves he was wearing. Those fairly white, nondescript gloves.
Why would he need a jeweler for those? I wonder if perhaps they're lined with something that keeps whatever's in his hands at bay.
Perhaps they're woven out of it.
I would assume it would probably either be lead or gold. Those are sort of the 2 things that I feel might be immune to gold transformation.
Right, if there was a layer of gold between him and this, whatever the other thing is already.
I like the lead idea. Like how you can't turn lead into gold. Not even if you're Midas. Professor Owens, anything from you?
Not, actually. Have I heard back from either my, dragonfly or the, laboratory on the results of the chemicals?
The lab hasn't had enough time to process it. The
Okay.
dragonfly tells you that, or relays to you that they'd found and followed the vehicle that you had mentioned to keep track on. It got into a park, but as it realized it tried to follow, it started to feel different and decided that it was probably time to return home.
All right.
You get the
Nothing.
idea that maybe it was outside the edge of what you have.
All right. Nothing, unfortunately, quite yet. Still waiting.
All right. The sound of crickets outside of the manor and lights clicking on to flood the front of the building give you the indication that night is full upon you. And while you would love to continue to pursue this line of thinking, you do still all have day jobs to report to. And that it might be a good idea to retire for the night. And as we transition from one day, busy day, a day full of unexpected things, we transition. We're going to go ahead and replace those power tags. Keeping in mind that when you're normally playing City of Mist, at the end of each episode, you have downtime. And you have Crazy Go Nuts at the end credits. And those downtimes, when you transition from one to the next, are what allow you to restore the power tags that you may have burned. Like the one that Yvonne, if I'm not mistaken, burned. To keep that power and secure a success on that. Yvonne, you take a taxi back to your apartment? Studio?
I live in a good-sized house. I've been successful.
You have been. Taking the car back to your house. The lights are off, but there are a few... as you get in, there are a few notes that have been slipped, like either through the mail slot or under the door. And Jack, you also walk a bit before you grab a taxi, trying to save yourself a couple of coins before you drive back to the other side of town. And we're going to come right back to you, Jack, because as you approach your... I assume you're sleeping on the couch of your office.
Certainly saves on the heating bill.
As you approach, a figure is in the shadows. The only thing you catch is a glint on the hat that he wears in the sunlight. Or in the moonlight. Normally that would give you pause for concern, but given the slightly paunchy look to this particular individual and where the glint came from, you get the idea that this is probably a safe person to talk to. Dr. White, where are you returning to?
A small brownstone close to the center of downtown.
Excellent. The one light that you leave on as kind of the hey, somebody's here, still burns. Mail delivered there. The bottles from the milk delivery have been taken. They'll leave fresh ones in the morning. But otherwise, everything seems normal this evening. Your body is pretty spent. Are there any preparations you're going to do before you turn in for the night?
No, I think it's been too long of a day to even consider going out tonight. And so he puts the glasses into a case that he puts under his pillow as he gets ready to go to sleep.
Excellent. Professor Owens. Johnson quickly cleans up any of the remaining glasses, cups, dishes. Vespa asks you if there's anything you need before she helps you retire for the evening.
Not that I can think of, Vesper. Thank you. It's just wake up at 6:45 as normal.
She nods in acquiescence before departing your room. Yvonne, the notes are all from your assistant. Most of them consist of some form of panicked writing asking where you are. At least that is until about the 5 o'clock time. The last one says, it's now 4:45 p.m. We're going to write this day off. Your co-star is a bit beside himself. We hope to see you on set at 7 tomorrow.
I am going to call Max, my agent, and just touch base with him and smooth things over a little bit.
Tell me about Max.
So Max was the first agent that I worked with. He was with one of the smaller agencies in town, and he believed in me before anyone else did. And once I started to very quickly gain success in my pictures, he stuck with me, and I couldn't imagine moving on even when the bigger agencies started knocking. And so he has been a loyal friend for 14 or 15 years now, and manages all the aspects of my career and has done great things for me.
What kind of personality? What kind of character is he?
He is a little bit older, not quite as old as my father, but there is definitely a proxy for that father-daughter relationship that I felt like I was sort of that I had stolen away from me when James died, and that I was never quite able to regain with my own father, Walter. And so there's sort of he's definitely the kind of guy who will tell a good dad joke. He's very jovial and also fiercely loyal. It's why I did so well early on. He was just out there getting me in the room, fighting for me. He believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. And I absolutely attribute my success to that element of his personality.
And as you take the heavy receiver off of the hook, the dial tone, an audible disruption in the silence of the house, you quickly dial the rotary. The line trills once or twice before you hear the other end accept the call. Hello?
Max, it's Yvonne.
Hiya, honey. How are you?
I'm feeling much better now. I think I ate something bad at that gala last night, and I have been in bed all day.
Well, I can't say they weren't worried about you over on the set, but I'm going to make sure that they understand that you're the star. He's the co-star.
Thanks, hun. I know you've got my back. I'm so sorry I didn't call when I came in last night. I felt so bad. I took the phone off the hook thinking I would sleep in a little bit this morning, and I just didn't wake up. I'm sure I was up a couple of times, but just out of it completely. I'm finally starting to feel like myself. I see that the new pages were delivered for tomorrow, so I'll look everything over. I understand I'm supposed to be on set at 7. Everything should be fine. You tell Jack Somerset that his leading lady will be there tomorrow.
Of course, you let me handle Jack. Listen, if it's 7:30, it's 7:30. Take your time. We need you fresh as a daisy and ready to go tomorrow, okay?
Thanks, Max.
Okay, remember who loves you most. Have a good night, babe.
Love you too. Bye. And I think I'm going to go through my script and then the pages that they sent over and find that I'm not able to focus very well on it. Do the bare minimum of making sure I've got those lines down, and then fall into a fitful sleep thinking about James and my father.
All right. And as sleep takes you, Jack, the figure that you kind of understand and recognize steps into a pool of light from the lamp there. The familiar hat of Jimmy O'Reilly. Heard you've been hobnobbing with some new people there. How you doing, Jack?
Hey, Jimmy. I mean, hobnobbing is sure better than slumming it, right?
You know me. I'm just a regular beat cop. What do I know about anything?
Sure picked a strange neighborhood. We're nowhere near you, beat. You looking for something?
Yeah, I'm looking for someone. You.
Why is that?
I need a bit of your help on something there, friend.
And internally, Jack is wiping his brow like, woo!
Is there a place that you and I can go and sit down, maybe? Have a little bit of a chat.
Why don't you step into my office?
Certainly, love to.
Unfortunately, we got to take the stairs. The lift is out again.
It happens in these older buildings like that. I could use the walk, though. And he pats his stomach. A little too much sugar in the coffee.
Too much beer in the coffee.
You know me. I don't put beer in there. Only the nicest Irish whiskey I can
You don't
find.
even put coffee in there. All right, let's go up.
Ruins the taste of the whiskey. After you.
I'm leading him up to the office.
All right. You arrive at the office. There's a small stack of mail that you push across as you open the door that has been slipped through the mail slot. He steps in behind you and kind of looks down and looks like you've not been tended to your correspondence there.
It's the maid's week off.
Sure thing. Look, Jack, I've known you a while. I wouldn't come to you hat in hand if I didn't need something. So, hopefully you hear me out. You know that place, the jazz club, near Midtown, called Tilt-A-Whirl?
Heard of it?
People of all sorts of walk of life go there. There's a fellow what plays music there, by the name of Ames Horning. A-M-E-S. Last name is H-O-E-R-N-I-N-G. Horning. Ames blows a mean trumpet. His wife and my wife are friends. And, I've got a bit of a problem. He's come up a-missing, but you know how things go. Sometimes if a musician comes up missing for a day or two, they just think maybe he's taken to the drink and wandered off with somebody who he shouldn't have been wandering off with. But I know Ames, he's not like that.
Is that common for Ames?
That's what I was... No, Ames isn't like that. Loves his darling wife. Do damn near anything.
How about the drink?
Well, he does like the drink. But I don't see him wandering off with anyone in particular like that.
It's not prone to make him make bad decisions?
Well, as I'm standing here at your doorstep, I think alcohol is prone to make everybody lead to bad decisions at least once in their life. But Ames wasn't a big drinker. He wasn't to the point where he wouldn't understand things that happened. If you catch my meaning.
All right. So,
Look,
what do you know?
His wife, Betty, says that, and understand that this is the distraught wife that's saying things here. Something about him possibly owing money to people. But I've never known Ames to get in over his head like that, so I'm not sure about that one. Last place he was seen was the Tilt-A-Whirl. You may go by there and talk to June. I'll warn you right now, though, if you go talk to June Perkins, the owner, she can be a bit of a bear to handle. So be on your best behavior. Take off your hat and clean your face before you go.
You flatter me. Like a purple
I try
toupee.
not. I'll try not to do that anymore. I tell you what, if you can take care of this for me, I'll owe you one.
How many zeros is behind that one?
We'll talk more about that. I'm sure we can come up with something. At least a couple, maybe more.
All right. You helped me out with that thing back at the other time, so
Appreciate you remembering.
we'll work something out.
Sure. Maybe this will come to something you can move into a real apartment. Have a good night. Take care of yourself, Jack.
Hey, one question though, Jimmy.
Certainly.
What's your stake in it?
Betty knows my Mary. And you know me, I'll do anything for Mary. If for nothing more than to get her to stop nagging at me.
Good enough. All right. Have a good night.
You as well. And he kind of like snakes past the door. You hear him whistling, twirling the baton as he goes.
Ugh. Another mess that doesn't pay. Time to be a janitor.
Are you going to try to catch some Z's, or are you going to try to head over there now?
Oh, that sounds ridiculous. I'm going to get some sleep.
Sounds like a plan. And as you all drift off to sleep, somewhere in the city, someone needs help. That's how it goes. This is the city after all. And while they sleep, another meeting is being had somewhere across town. Frank Castelloni stands with his hands behind his back, looking like a scolded toddler, his head and his face cast down. The voice is stern, but not loud, and refined. You know, my organization runs a bit better than this. You disappoint me, Frank. But then again, I'm sure the same thing was said by your parents. The next time I ask you to accomplish something, you will accomplish it. Do we understand one another? The sheepish head nods up and down. I don't respond to gestures, Frank. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll make sure to take care of it next time. Good. Return to the place that I've purchased for you and await your instructions. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You see Frank leave quickly, his hat behind him, tucked down over his head as he exits the room. His shoes, leather patent shoes, tapping off of the marble floor that's there. Pillars set up tall as trees. The well-dressed figure turns and looks out a large plate window onto the city itself. Dawn breaks on the city, and it's going to be a nice, cool day. Nice enough that some of you might even tug on a jacket or two. Yvonne, you arrive on set on time?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Your co-star throws his hands in the air in a gesture of before stomping off. You see the director following behind him. Remember, I don't care what Maxwell said. I should be the star. He throws his hands in the air and he turns and looks at you and says, "Can you help me out here?"
Sure, George. I'll go talk to him.
Thank you. You're a peach. Thank you. and you make your way to talk to Jack, who is heading towards his dressing room.
I assume he slams the door as he goes in, so I will knock.
As petulant as you please. Yes. He opens the door wearing a robe that is very Liberace-esque. There is feather around it. It has feathers at the sleeves, and he goes, "You."
Jack, I know I was supposed to be on set. I was very ill yesterday. I'm so sorry. And as I say this, I am going to touch him on the arm, and I would like to try to encourage him to believe me.
Okay. What are you using?
Let's go with, from my routine, ready for my close-up, let's go with put on any face.
All right.
Can I sell you on famous screen actress as well? That I'm going to sway him with the fact that he knows I've been in more pictures than he has.
You absolutely can.
And then I think from my subversion theme, You're Gonna Love Me, I'm going to go with manipulate your desires.
Okay.
No, actually, let's do irresistible magnetism.
Okay.
I think that might be a little bit more effective in this particular case.
Given how petulant and kind of petty he is, I'm going to give you a 1 negative status just because of his being headstrong and willful.
Sure.
Towards you. But otherwise, yeah, let's go ahead and see what you get there.
All right.
And you are rolling on the encourage, convince.
There we go. That's a 13.
What? That's a fantastic success. Look at that. As you, what words of encouragement are you going to give him as you place your hand on there? You watch as his eyes lock onto yours. Probably the first time he's actually fully looked you in the face. That wasn't a scene that you guys had to do together.
Listen, Jack, the scene we did day before yesterday, you were stunning. You were spectacular. I am so happy to be sharing the stage with you right now. Let's just get out there. I'm so sorry about yesterday, but let's just get out there and make some magic this morning, okay?
Well, I mean, I can't fault you for being sick. It happens. Are you feeling better? You look wonderful.
Thank you. Yes, I slept most of the day yesterday and got a good night of sleep last night, and I feel so much better. I'm ready to work today. We'll figure out how to get the pickups from yesterday, but let's just go knock them dead today.
I have to say, Yvonne, that this is a dream come true. And I'm sorry if I seem a bit out of sorts. I'm just standing in your spotlight sometimes.
It's quite all right.
You're
Like
right.
I
Let's
said,
go.
We're going to go make magic together. Let's do it.
Let's go. And he nice skips from the room. Robe still on. Like full out.
Great.
As
And I'm going to shake that off and make my way to makeup.
Awesome. As you make your way to makeup, getting prepared to work for the day. Speaking of work, Professor Owens, how's classes going today?
About as good as they normally do, which is to say, halfway to abysmal. Even though I'm very excited about what I teach, my students aren't. Yeah. It's we're in bio. We're looking at fungus right now, and it's about as exciting as it seems. Oh yeah. I tried that joke. It did not work.
Are there any students that are exemplary? Like that one student that always sits like at the front of the class, ooh, and always throws his hand up?
There are a few. I've been sure to sort of, I don't know, push them along that path because I was that student in college, or Robert was rather.
We find that one of those students in particular makes just a bevy of inquiry concerning your health. Are you okay? How are you? Are you feeling all right? We missed you yesterday. Are there any notes that we should make up from yesterday since we really didn't have a class? And oh my gosh, are you okay? Did I see your picture in the paper at the gala from the other night?
Yes, thank you so much for caring about my illness. I was fine. I ate something that didn't really agree with me. And no, you don't. That was entirely on me. So there is nothing that the class has to make up.
Oh, okay. Well, if you would like, and he quickly jots down a phone number and tears it off. If you like, of course, I've been reading up on all of the notes in there, and if you need someone to help step in case you're sick in the future, I would be happy to offer, and like pretty much just almost shoves the paper against you to help out at any given time that you need.
Oh, I'll take that under consideration. Thank you.
No, thank you.
I apologize. I am awful with names. What was yours again?
Sullivan Standridge.
All right.
There's a third on there, but I thought that adding the third might sound a bit pretentious. I apologize. Is it pretentious?
Oh no.
Are you sure?
Oh, definitely. I'm actually technically Robert Owens the Fourth, so don't worry about it. That's a lie, by the way. I'm not Robert Owens the Fourth.
Can I call you Professor Robert Owens the Fourth?
Let's not. Let's not. Let's just keep that. Yes, I mean, it's not pretentious. It's just it has a negative connotation. Let's go with that.
A negative connotation of being pretentious? Look at the time. I'm gonna go sit down now. I look forward to your lesson.
Thank you, Sylvan.
Biology class does run on. It doesn't really. It runs right on time, but given the excitement from yesterday, teaching biology just for now, it's a little mundane, maybe.
A little.
Dr. White, how's the clinic this morning?
Good. It's a steady stream, which he likes. It makes the day not feel so long when there are not gaps, but it's not quite as hectic as the hospital that I used to work at.
There's a lot of coughing from smaller children in and about the waiting area. You get the idea that with the cooler weather and it's been a little bit wet lately, that maybe some of them are just coming down with colds, but concerned mothers being what they are, you know. One of them assures you, I assure you it's the flu. I've given them everything I can think of. Chicken soup warm with the matzah that they like in there, but nothing seems to break it, doctor.
Well, yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of time, and I can run a couple tests and make sure that there's no antibiotics needed, but I can almost guarantee you that it's not the flu, because luckily this is a cough. If it was a flu, you'd find many more fluids around the house.
Oh, would brandy help? I heard that a little bit of brandy might do them a little bit of good. Would that be advisable?
No. I tend to find that the effects on the throat, even though it does clear out some of the cough, doesn't necessarily set a good precedence. You don't want to get your children too used to alcohol. If it was you or me, yes, at night that might help you sleep, but I wouldn't recommend it in this case.
She kind of like swats at your arm, holding her bag. What about a little bit of brandy for me?
Well, yes. I mean, after everyone's asleep, then have at it.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you, Doctor. I appreciate you. And with that, she shuffles her spawn, this little dumpy character in an outfit that was supposed to be like tied together with a belt, but just looks like a solid statue with a ring around it. The child looks at you, and like not even covering mouth, just full on coughing against you. Cover your mouth when you cough, you idiot. And come on, let's go. And swats at the child with the gloves as they leave the room, leaving you to some people, man. Jack. You gotta get a new pair of socks. Your toe's starting to show through on one of them. I'm kidding.
That sounds like tomorrow's problem.
Sure thing. What are you doing for today, though?
Today got a job to follow up on, so heading to the Tilt-A-Whirl.
All right. It's probably about 10 in the morning when you finally make your way over there. The sign is one of those beautiful gaudy light signs, so it says Tilt-A-World, Tilt-A-Whirl. And you can see the sign behind it, and what is neon currently not on, you can see this roulette wheel looking thing behind it, giving you the idea of a carnival ride. The doors are currently closed, big chrome handles that allow you entry into it. The doors are cut to look almost like they're circular at the top, and they open up, they're flat at the bottom. Testing the door, you can see that it's not locked.
Despite the hour. Going on inside.
All right. You open it, and you hear the sound of boxes and the rattling of glass. You look to see a rather large fellow, broad-shouldered, but maybe not the brightest bulb. He turns around and looks at you and goes, "Hey, you ain't supposed to be in here. What are you doing?"
Pulling out my little notebook. I'm investigating something.
Oh,
You gotta-
our liquor license is good.
You got a June Perkins here?
Yeah.
At the moment?
Yeah.
Mind if I speak to her?
I don't mind.
Can you point the direction?
Yeah. She's back there. And you can see a service entrance that leads to a kitchen area. It's a swinging door. It's got a big chrome handle on it like the ones outside, and a service window, circular thing. You can see movement back there, but not a whole lot. She's back there.
Thanks.
Okay. And he
Heading that
goes to stocking the shelves again. You push open the door, and you can see staff that are moving about, preparing for this evening. They open kind of around 6 or 7, and you can see that they're already underway to prepare for tonight's dinner and getting things organized, cleaned up, and ready to go. Standing in the midst of them, like a conductor from some sort of wheeled tilt-a-whirl itself, pointing fingers and barking out orders, you see she's probably about 5'4". Her skin is the color of ebony. It's just this beautiful, just unmarred skin in a wide strap but no sleeves. Her hair is jet white, and it's pulled back into a bun tied on her head. She has a clipboard in her hands, and the peach-colored dress that she's wearing fits her well, tapering in at the waist and then going back out just past her knee. Shoes matching it to the T. As she hears the door creak open, she turns and whirls around and look at you with a stern, if not pretty face. "Who are you?" I ain't
Ma'am?
looking for help.
That's all right, because I am. I'm investigating something for a friend. Have you seen an Ames Horning?
Yeah, I know Ames. You seen him lately?
No. I was
Tell
wondering
that
if you
sorry sack of crap that he still owes me a set. Do I know anything about him? Sure.
Yeah. Wondering if you got a minute you could talk about it.
She looks around at everybody and gives a hard whistle, just pulling her lip against her teeth and whistling loudly. You watch as a man probably in his early 30s comes over. Yes, Miss Perkins? Take over. I'm going to go talk to this dick. And she says, come up to my office, and you can see a flight of stairs that go up. And she starts making her way up there.
After you, madam.
The stairs end in a kind of a balcony that goes in either direction, and you can see that she takes a right turn and opens a door into a rather plush office. There's a window that actually looks down over the bar itself so that she can see what's going on the floor while she's in her office. Have a seat. I didn't catch your name.
Oh, Jack, ma'am. Jack Casey.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Jack. And she shakes your hand. It's a firm grip. She takes a seat. Before taking a seat, she makes her way over to a sidebar and she takes a couple of glasses and starts to pour. Care for a drink, Jack? I know it's early, but
If I start this early, it leads to other good decisions.
then
Thank
I'll
you.
take that as a yes. She pours a little bit, just like 2 fingers worth in the glass, and brings it over to you, handing it to you. She doesn't sit at the chair. She leans against the desk, making a plank, her body angled against it perfectly at like 45 degrees. And she looks at you. She says, who put you on Ames's trail?
You ever met his wife, Betty?
Lovely woman. She makes a wonderful cobbler.
Yeah, well, she also gets awfully upset when he's missing, and she's been harassing a cop friend. I'm doing a favor.
Ames is a good man, no matter what anybody else might say or think about him. However, sometimes we all get into a little bit of trouble here and there. I saw Ames in here a couple of nights ago before he went, I assume, missing.
Yes, ma'am.
He had finished a set and had stepped off to partake of a beverage. He got into a bit of a conversation, a discourse, with a young lady. I'd never seen her before, and I know the patrons at the Tilt-A-Whirl, at least those that are regulars. So she was either new or a face that's never been in anywhere before. Anyways, an altercation, not loud enough that Ames left the floor of the Tilt-A-Whirl through the service entrance and out the back door. At least that's my assumption, since the only other places you could go are to the other end of the hallway or my office, and he's not allowed at my office, of course. Not without my permission. And that was the last I saw of Ames.
I'm very clearly jotting all this down.
She kind of looks you up and down for a second before swirling her glass and taking a sip of it.
Besides owing you a set, you aware of anybody else he might owe?
Well, you didn't hear it from me. But he might owe some money to the Hogans.
Is that a local patron?
You could say something like that. How familiar are you with this town, at least this side of town? You've been around.
This is not my normal neighborhood, but I've been around.
She's still kind of like looking you up and down. Let's just say you don't want to end up on the wrong side of a Hogan. Particularly, Timothy.
And do you think that might be who poor Ames went in bed with?
All I could tell you is speculation that might be who he owes somebody to. Because if you're going to owe anybody in this town, at least in this part of the town, it's probably going to be a Hogan. And if it's going to be a Hogan, it'll probably be Timothy.
All right. You know where I can find the Hogans?
Oh, step outside and make trouble. They'll find you.
Fair enough.
But if you would like to see if you can find them any sooner than that, you can always come here. This evening should be a good time. I'll even, and she takes the drink that you haven't, taken a sip of. She sets it down. She says, I'll even buy you a drink while you're here.
That's awfully nice of you.
Of course.
This is in good faith that you'll be getting your missing set back, right?
Oh, of course. And maybe if I need some help along the way, I might come to you, Jack. You seem intrepid enough. And you seem like I could get you to do things a little easier than I could a officer of the law or somebody who's going to cost me an arm and a leg.
I can go some places a badge can't, but that doesn't make me cheaper.
Fair enough. Might be that I need to set you on retainer. How does 100 a week sound?
Like Whistling Dixie. I'd rather finish what I've started first.
Of course. I understand. You're doing a favor. You're an odd one. Come by this evening. I'll have some papers drawn up. You can sign it and I'll set you on retainer. How does that sound?
Let's see what happens when this plays out.
That sounds like a wonderful idea.
I'm afraid I can't make a commitment like that on a first date.
Well, why don't we take an evening and just get to know one another?
I'm more worried about who's getting to know Ames. Thank you for your time. If you think of anything, could you give me a ring?
Of course, and she offers, instead of the handshake, this time she offers the hand out like this as she pushes herself off of the desk.
Taking your hand and helping her up?
She still has her hand up.
Kissing her hand.
Lovely. And she escorts you out of the office and back down into the service area. I'm sure you can find your way out from here. I have
Yes, ma'am.
business to attend to. Good luck in finding Ames. If you need anything else, let me know.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
As you leave, there is a drop in the temperature outside. It seems as though it's going to get only cooler from here. A little bit of a wind is picked up, and you pull your jacket around your shoulders. Where are you heading to from here?
I don't know. I'm going to drive around a bit.
Sure.
The on foot, non-bus kind of driving around.
Certainly. Professor Owens. Classes have wrapped for the day. The intrepid and ever thoughtful Sullivan Standridge III eagerly waits by your desk as the last of the students file out of this class.
And what? Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to see if there was anything I could do to help you. If there's anything I can offer you. Can I carry your bag for you? Are you heading to your office? Do you have hours? I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I do have hours. They should be on your syllabus. But I don't need anything at the current moment. Can I ask, what's your major? And no.
Well, my major is actually in applied physics, and it will be in engineering, but I had to take this class because weird reasons. But anyways.
Fascinating. Okay, I'm going to be honest, I've never seen anyone outside of a bio major actually be this into one of my classes. Or really, well, not one of my classes, but any sort of type of this class. That was an English sentence.
Science is fascinating, all aspects of it, even the mucky stuff that gets your hands dirty. It's all, I just love it all so much.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Are you thinking of pursuing graduate studies?
Yes, but not here.
Oh, really?
I want to transfer upstate and go to one of the more specialized, focused schools. If I can. I don't even know if my grades are good enough to get in there.
Well, I sort of like check my grade. It is his grade. I assume his grades are, really.
Oh yeah,
good.
yeah. His nervousness is.
Well, you certainly won't have any trouble with your grades in this class. You are doing quite fantastic.
It's such a relief to hear. Can I ask you a question? I need a small letter of recommendation. I was wondering if maybe I could ask you if that's at all possible. I know it's a bit forward, especially since I really kind of spoke up today for the first time, but it would mean a lot to me, especially since, it's Dr. Robert Owens, PhD.
Yes, certainly. What would be this? What would this letter be for exactly?
To help me get into the college upstate.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Let me jot down your name again. And then
Sullivan
I shall.
Standridge III.
Sullivan Standridge III. All right, perfect. I shall get that to you within the next week or so. If that's
That
fine.
would be amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. And as he's like bowing and walking backwards. There's a small bump as he hits like the edge of the door and looks terrified for a moment. Sorry. And he bows and moves. You see Heinrich come into the room looking at the young man who just left. He looks at you oddly. Is that the friend of yours?
I think I'm a friend of his, not the other way around. Interesting kid. Physics studying, apparently. One of the most into this class out of the entire class.
Yeah. Kids these days. They're always going after something.
Exactly.
Listen, I've not much time before I have an appointment, but I wanted to let you know that I talked to the rest of the chairs, and they understand that you are not feeling well. I will let you know there was a picture, Robert, of you at a gala and more importantly, you had an interesting friend that brought the attention of some of the chairs. Not in a bad way, more of a, did you see what Robert is doing? It was with the star, her name Ivan Calloway.
Oh, there were pictures. Oh, yes, yes. I mean, there's nothing going on between us. Actually, it was the gala where we first met. It just so happened that we were talking as we left the building. She's in a production at the current moment that has to do with ants, really large ones, I think. I don't know. When was that movie
Sorry,
made?
you just cracked the MC up completely. Are you talking like one of the sci-fi films where they actually like film them on the
Yeah,
macro lens and then like would transpose the other picture on top of it?
yeah.
She's
No, it's
she's making one of those silly films about the killer insects then.
apparently, or at least she's considering production. I don't remember. It was a very short conversation, but I found it interesting nevertheless.
Well, I will tell you that the chairs are happy about the involvement of Ivan. A star of that importance could bring some sort of new life into it. Look at our professor. Anyways, that was the only question that they had in mind. I'm glad to see that you're feeling better. Just kind of.
Much better. I think it was something I ate. There were some oysters that seemed slightly on the off side, but all better now.
Right. Okay. Well, we will see you tomorrow. I have to go. Have a good night.
You as well. You as well. Thank you for covering.
With that, he parts ways. The last of your class, and you don't have any hours today or any other appointments to meet with any of the students. Where are you going after classes?
Probably to. I have a few hours before dinner or anything. So I'm probably just going to sit near like a grassy park area on campus, and take out one of the books. One of the books about Greek mythology that I was that we were studying last night, and just sort of look into it a bit more.
All right. With that being said, as you sit down, Vespa having made you a lunch that you finally get a chance to start nibbling on. Earthquake. Dr. White. It's probably about 3:30 in the afternoon, but the waiting room has seemed to have cleared out mostly.
I think I will go up to the front and kind of double check in with the nurses at the front. Is there anyone scheduled the rest of the day?
No, doctor. It looks like you've cleared everybody.
Well, I think I'm going to call off then. If anything comes up, you know my number, but what we've been seeing today, I don't doubt that one of you can handle it, if that's all right.
As you look, you can see a couple of the nurses are standing kind of shoulder to shoulder, and they're not exactly facing you, but they're not facing away from you, but you can see them look up, and one of them has a newspaper, and she's kind of giggling a little bit.
You'll have to forgive me, I didn't have the chance to read this morning what's going on.
As you Well, and they're giggling as they look over, and they hold the paper out to you, and you can see there is a picture of you, along with Yvonne and Abel Benning. It's on the steps, and it looks like you're posing, but you can see that Yvonne is standing kind of in front and like a step down below you, and she has her hands out, kind of in a pose. But you and Abel are standing almost shoulder to shoulder, and you hear they're tittering. We didn't know you knew a starlet.
Yes, no might be a little too much. I actually just met her last night, but her friend was having some. Well, everyone always wants advice from the doctor. He was having some palpitations of some sort, and she was kind enough to take a photo with me after I listened to his heartbeat.
Well, is it possible that this might be a bit to ask? Could you talk to her again and maybe get an autograph? That last picture was so good.
I imagine that might be possible. Is one for everyone?
I mean, if it's not too much to ask. I went to the Bergstroms after that show trying to find that blue dress she wore in that scene. Do you know they were sold out of all my sizes?
Oh, really? I imagine you must wear the same size as her.
This nurse is Zoftig. So not quite the same size. No.
Yeah, I think he just says that, he says it as flattery.
All right. She like swats at you. Charmer, get out of here. All right.
Yes, I will pick up my satchel and head out.
The director yells, "Cut!" All right, folks, that's a wrap for the day. As you realize the day has flown past you, Yvonne, and you look at your script and realize that even though you just took a cursory glance with a few reshoots and retakes, of course, of certain scenes, because maybe a word or two was flubbed. But after your little pep talk, Jack has been an absolute treat. And he's a darling to work with, and he seems to follow your command every time. Stand here. Why don't we try it moving over here? He now defers to you and says, almost in a kind of a magpieing way, "Yeah, what she says is fantastic. Let's try it over there." And before you know it, they're done filming for the day. It's actually still early. It's probably about 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
I think all day, even though I've been showing up on set, doing my job, getting through the scenes, I've been in the back of my mind thinking about the events of the last 36 hours or so, thinking about these 3 new men that I've met and the strange things that we all seem to share. And so the moment I know I'm done for the day, that I'm wrapped, I am going to try to get in contact with whoever I can. I think I would probably think that the professor would be the easiest to catch, maybe in his office. And so I'm going to give a call there.
All right. You reach the school, and they inform you that he has wrapped classes for the days and did not have any appointments. But that they would take a message for you and try to get that to him.
No, that's fine. I will try him at home. Thank you. And I will try him at home.
The phone rings, and there is an answer, a slightly buzzy tone to it, giving you the indication that Vespa has answered the phone.
Oh, hi. Is this Vespa? Was it?
Yes.
Is the professor home?
Not at the moment. Sorry.
Do you know when you expect him? Have you heard from him at all today?
I can try to reach him soon.
Okay, that's all right. I'll get in touch with him later. Thank you.
Shall I tell him that you called?
Yes, I'm sorry. Of course, this is Yvonne. Let him know that I checked in.
Certainly. I will let him know.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
And
And I think I would try Dr. White next.
okay. There is a listing for Dr. White, and it is a clinic. It's in the actual business pages. Ringing the clinic, you hear a voice on the other end, advertising which clinic it is, and saying, "How can I help you?"
Hello, my name is Yvonne. I was looking to speak with Dr. White, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry. He just left, like literally a moment ago. Do you want me to see if I can catch him on the street?
Yes, actually, if you could, that would be wonderful.
Okay, hang on. And you hear the receiver being set down, but before that you hear a heavy clunk, and then the receiver being set down. As you're leaving the building, you're maybe less than half a block away. You hear your name being called, Dr. White.
I'll spin around and look back that direction.
You have a phone call.
Oh, all right. And I'll wave a hand and start to jog back that direction.
And she waves back and heads inside. There's a heavy clunk on the line. Oh, I was able to flag him down. He'll be here in just a moment.
Thank you so much.
And as soon as you enter in the building, the phone is handed over to you, sir.
Hello?
Dr. White, it's Yvonne.
Oh, hello. I actually have quite a few people here who were just requesting autographs from you.
Oh, how on earth did they know that we know each other?
I see you also have not seen the paper this morning. There's a wonderful image of you and myself and Abel on the steps of the theater.
Oh dear, no. I've been on set since early this morning. Well, I was going to see if you'd heard from either of the other two today.
I hadn't. I actually was just cutting out early. I was going to head over to the professor's house to see if he happened to be home. I realized that in all of the and he looks over and notices the nurses kind of listening intently. The excitement of the evening that we didn't get I didn't get the professor's number.
Oh, well, I actually was just calling around trying to find him. He's not at school. He left early and he is not home yet. I spoke with Vespa. That was weird. But she didn't seem to know when to expect him. But I was going to head over there. I could swing by the clinic, have my driver pick you up as well. And I'd be more than happy to come in and sign a couple of autographs if you like.
Yes, I think that would make some people here very happy.
She's coming.
Wonderful. I'm on my way right now. I'll call my driver and should be there in a few minutes.
All right, we'll see you then.
Okay, thanks.
There is.
Bye.
They are stacked up, like doing. As soon as you hang up. Was that her?
It was.
Is she coming here?
She is going to stop by here in just a few minutes. So, well, remember, they're all just people too. So be polite. Try not to be too starstruck. I had a chance to talk to her last night, and she's very down to earth.
Okay. Right. Okay. And then there's that collective like squeal for a second. Okay. Calm down. All right. As you are making your way to the clinic and you are waiting there, Jack, where are you heading to?
I'm not going to make any more progress on my case until, so might as well look for answers in other places. I'm going to look for one of these other folks I've met and see if they have any leads on the other stuff we're investigating.
Okay.
I don't much care for the university, and the mansion has too many weird things if the professor's not there. So I guess I'm heading to the doctor's office.
All right. It's easy enough to find the clinic where he is listed. Dr. Alexander White, MD, and the clinic that's listed there. You see the address, and funny enough, you're actually not too far from it.
That makes sense.
because reasons.
It seems like his neighborhood.
Yeah, you know, he likes to help those who are a little less unfortunate. So you hop the next bus cruising over that way. The door opens. Dr. White, after about 20 minutes, you turn to look and see not Yvonne walking in the door, but dressed in his trench coat and his hat, Mr. Kaysen.
Oh, Jack, you're not the figure I was expecting when the door opened, but it's still good to see you.
Thank you for feigning not disappointed.
Well, if it's the choice between yourself and Yvonne walking in the door, how are you doing today? Any, and he looks back over towards the nurses again. Any more thoughts about the friend that you met the other night?
No, I've been working on something new. So, Yvonne is the other person you're expecting?
Yeah, she's on her way over. She's been gracious enough to sign some autographs for the staff here.
Well, how fortuitous.
Yes, in fact, and then we were going to head over to the professor's house to see if he's around for some tea.
Want to make it a bridge club?
You know, I've never learned, but this seems like a good a time as any.
All right. Yvonne, you give the instruction or the directions to your driver, and he kind of starts jotting them down. He knows the city well, but he kind of looks at you as you finish telling him the address. And he goes, "Are you sure? That's where you want to go?"
Yes, Paul. I'm sure. I'm meeting some friends there.
Yes, Miss Calloway, you're the boss. And he doesn't lean heavy on the gas, but he accelerates away, heading towards there. It is it's a bit of a drive, but you can see every once in a while the vehicle is rocked a little bit by the wind that's picked up around there, howling through the canyon of steel that is the city. After a bit of a drive, you find yourself outside of a small place, a clinic on the corner. There are a lot of people at this time, but you can see people kind of coming and going throughout their day. Paul says, "Well, do you want me to come in with you, Miss Calloway?"
No, just wait here. I shouldn't be too long. I am probably going to have a friend with me, and then we'll need conveyance elsewhere.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be right here. Keep the engine running.
Thanks, Paul. And I will head
Of course.
inside.
As you enter in the building, you not only see Dr. White, but standing with him is Jack in his wonderfully endearing hat and coat.
Oh, Jack, when did you get here?
Miss Calloway, just a few moments ago.
Well, this is wonderful. I'm sure Dr. White has brought you up to speed. I'm going to touch base with some of his coworkers first, and then we're going to head over to the professor's.
Sounds like a good setup for a game of bridge.
I prefer euchre myself, but...
And as a matter of fact, they seem to have taken notice of your appearance into the building, and suddenly a small gathering of clucking hens has made their way around you, all dressed in very comfortable shoes with white gowns on, and the traditional headpiece for some of the nurses. They're all holding like pieces of paper. One of them has a prescription pad, and they're all just standing there with pens and just they're cackling and talking to you, all of them at once. So it's kind of hard to get what's going on.
Oh, hello, everyone. I am a friend of Dr. White's, and he told me that you wanted to say hello. I grab out of my bag, I pull out a stack of my 8x10s that I grabbed as I was running out of the studio. And I see the person that has the prescription pad in particular, and I say, I don't know if I'm legally allowed to sign those, but I brought these photographs. If anyone is interested, I'd be happy to sign these. And I start just going from person to person. To Betty, you say, and just getting all of their names and signing them.
They absolutely, they're eating it up. And one of them, Lucy, one of the head nurses, looks over at you, Dr. White. She's a dream. She's an absolute delight. You be good and hold on to this one. And then she goes back around to her nursing station and sits down, holding and looking at the photo.
Yeah, and I think that like Dr. White is sitting. I'm sitting next to Jack in the lobby, like drinking coffee, and it's a. And just kind of shrinking down into the chair because I know how they all get when they're together.
Oh yeah, you know tomorrow's going to be just insufferable. Dr. Owens, as the three of you convene and eventually find your way back out of the building after having signed your name, you don't know how many times at this point in time, pile into the vehicle. Paul looks back, just kind of shrugs. Where to, Miss Calloway?
Back to Professor Owen's house, please.
Certainly. And he peels away from the curb and heads off that way. Dr. Owens, you finally find your way back to your manor. The wind being a bit more to deal with than sitting outside. As you do, you can see Vespa passes along the message that Yvonne had called. It is not much longer after the message. You're inquired about tea, if you'd like serving, what else you'd like with your tea and everything else like that. Not long after that, a vehicle pulls up at the front gate, and Vespa informs you that there are 3 guests and tells you who they are. And as the rest of you make your way into the manor, before we set about having tea, we ourselves are going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to come back in just a few minutes. Give us about 10 minutes or so as we refresh our drinks and refresh ourselves, get up, stretch our legs. Stick with us. We are only halfway done with Obscurum this evening. We'll come back. Don't forget, we are doing Nerds Giving. We are doing the Heifer International all the way to the 15th. So any of your donations, proceeds to that go to Heifer International. So please dig deep and help those who are not as fortunate as we are. But again, like I said, we'll be back in about 10 minutes and we'll reconvene. Thank you all. Stick around.
Hello, Internet. I'm Angela. I'm a director and creator. We here at Nerdsmith would like to wish you a very happy Nerdsgiving. The time has come for our second annual Nerds Giving charity event. 2 weeks of playing silly games with our friends while putting a little bit of good back into the world. This year, we are supporting Heifer International and their fight to end hunger while caring for the earth. They gift families and communities income-producing animals and provide the training to turn those animals into sustainable businesses. For the next 2 weeks, that's November 1st through the 15th, we here at Nerdsmith will be running animal-themed RPG one-shots and giving away delightful prizes during the streams. Stay tuned on Twitter for the latest show schedule or donate today at fundraise.heifer.org/nerdsgiving. It's bound to be amusing. No, don't cluck up this opportunity. No, just play the outro.
We are Nerdsmith. Bum ba-dum.
No. We're gonna try that again. One more time. From the top. We are Nerdsmith.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for your patience while we tended to ourselves. When we last left off at the break, the team had finally arrived at Professor Owen's manor. Vespa greets everyone and allows you entry into there and says, "We were just setting down for tea. Would you care for a glass?"
Well, I would have some.
Lovely. Do you want lemons in there?
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Gentlemen?
Yes, please, with hot. Just plain.
All right. And what about you, Jack?
Oh, no thanks. I brought one.
Certainly. And she disappears to the back. The gang's all here.
Has my company figured out if it's gold or not?
It is. They
It is
report
gold?
back to you with a phone call, letting you know that it is indeed gold, not iron pyrite, fool's gold. However,
Good to know. However,
there's a caveat that they add to it, that there's something unusual about it. That while it is gold, the purity on it, it seems to not be... It's not as pure. That there are a lot of traces of carbon. It can be melted down, filtered, and then purified. But otherwise, it's, as it stands, you wouldn't be able to make any money from it. They do inquire as to where you obtained the sample.
it was just in my uncle's study. It was just a, hunk of gold-like stuff, and I was like, oh, that might be interesting. I wonder if it's gold. And apparently it is.
And they tell you that it is indeed gold, but without some treatment to it. It's not as valuable. It needs to be processed. All right. Vespa comes back in carrying a tray. She sets a cup of tea and a small tray with macaroons and cucumber sandwiches and things like that. She hands the cup of tea carefully over to you, Yvonne. And Dr. White, she hands you your cup, and just on the tray is a small jar with a dipper of honey. And she kind of smiles at you. She turns and looks at Jack, and instead of handing you a cup of tea on a saucer, she instead hands you a small snifter, and she says, "In case you would like to drink from something other than metal."
Thanks. Appreciated. Immediately sitting it down and not touching it.
She does not
Thank
take
you,
offense.
Vespa.
Of course. Is there anything else that I can get you?
If we could just plan for dinner around what time is it right now?
The trip over there, they met about 4. Let's say it's probably like 4:45.
45. All right. If we could plan for dinner around 6.
Any special requests this evening?
No, I trust Johnson. Do any of you have any food allergies I should be aware of? Oh, my staff should be aware of, rather.
No sticks or dung. I think I'm good.
No, anything would be fine. I'm still kind of eyeballing the honey jar to see if there's like a label on it or something.
Like a
And I'm
person's
also fine
name.
with anything.
Vespa's honey.
And don't worry about the honey. We actually, I personally, it's one of my hobbies, maintain an apiary up on top of the roof. Normal sized bees. so you don't have to worry about it if you're concerned about it.
Yeah, I realize that it comes from living animals anyway, but something about it being that tall makes it seem strange to me. Thank you for letting me know.
No problem. Happy to be of assistance.
All right. She ducks back in and disappears for a while. Jack, you have a couple of things under your belt there. You shared your information last night, but what about the new thing?
Yeah, once we all get together in the same room, I'm going to mention, hey, this might be nothing. It might be unrelated, but a friend asked me for a favor to look into a thing, and it's led me to someone who loans money around town. And I was thinking, if our man, Frank, owes somebody a lot of money, couldn't hurt to check up on other people who loan. So I want to bounce some ideas off of you and see if any of them stick.
Go right ahead.
Excellent, thanks. There's a local joint called the Tilt-A-Whirl. They've got a jazz musician there named Ames Horning, and Ames has gone missing. His wife Betty knows my friend Jimmy's wife Mary, and she's been given some pressure. I'm doing a favor for Jimmy. But Ames, according to June Perkins, the lady that runs the joint, Ames has been missing a couple of days after he was had a fight with a dame and left almost in the middle of a set. He had just finished a set, and she was expecting him to come back and do another. She feels like he still owes her. She says he may owe money to a family called the Hogans, specifically some gentleman named Timothy Hogan. And apparently these are the kind of gentlemen that know everything going on in their neighborhood. And Dr. White, this is the same neighborhood your practice is.
Oh, charming.
I was curious if you have ever had anyone offering you protection insurance.
No, but I did actually just the other day before the gala have some men stop to ask if I could be called upon when they had people in their service injured in the line of duty, let's say.
You think it's related?
Well, if I remember right, it was Frank's men, but you know that day is kind of a blur. It very well could be related.
How about you, Miss Calloway? You ever have any reason to run in with jazz musicians? I'm not quite sure how the whole entertainment thing works.
It's funny. I am pretty sure that I met Ames once very, very briefly, just in passing. I was in a film a few years ago called The Jazz Club, and there we had a band that played just background in a few of the scenes. So he was really not much more than an extra, but I did have occasion to say hello at craft services a couple of times, and he seemed like a perfectly respectable gentleman, wonderful musician, but that's all I know about him.
It was Hogan.
Oh, go ahead.
It was Hogan, yes?
Family name, Hogan.
That name seems awfully familiar for some reason. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the other professors in my department had a student with the last name Hogan. I might have to look into that.
I'd appreciate it. Any leads worth checking down. My only lead right now is to go back on Miss Perkins' invitation back to the Tilt-A-Whirl this evening, where she says Timothy Hogan is most likely to be hanging out. If these are the kind of guys who loan money around town, would you fellas be interested in coming in and investigating it with me?
I mean, it's worth
I
a shot.
assume
I
that
think.
invitation extends to me as well.
Pardon the honorific being masculine. Yes.
Well, I certainly have not been out for a good while. At least not to a joint such as this. So I would be very excited to, so to speak.
Yeah, it couldn't hurt. Perhaps we could ask around and see if anyone in that area might know a little bit about why in the world Frank would owe money. That's the thing I still can't put my brain around, is why is a man who can make gold owing money?
Well, if the gold isn't saleable in its current condition, it may not be worth as much to him as we thought it was.
What do you mean? Professor, can you shed more light on exactly how impure it is?
What was the percentage that my lab gave me?
Like 70 to 75%.
All right. It was roughly around 70 to 75% pure, which would take some interesting metallurgy to, or at least some strong metallurgy, I don't know, to, make it pure enough to sell. I would say it's probably worth, I don't know, 25% of regular gold's value, I'd assume. If I'm not mistaken, if I did my math right.
Well, wait a minute. If you've got a 200-pound guy and you turn him into gold and it's worth 25% of normal gold, that's still roughly my building.
It seems that a gold statue is probably not terribly worthwhile to anyone, though. It would still, even in its impure form, need to be processed into something that could be used. I don't know. I don't know much about these things, but clearly in its current state, it's not meeting whatever financial need he has because he's looking for more money.
Well, and on the plus side, at least, hopefully that means that he's not melting them down to get out the impurities. So if there is something to be done, maybe some of these people could still be saved.
You guys ever heard any...
Go ahead.
Excuse me. Ladies first.
I was just going to point out that he didn't even seem interested. I mean, he left his other associate that he turned into gold in front of us. He left him behind, so he doesn't seem terribly concerned about keeping the gold. I suppose that if one can turn anybody they want to into gold, one wouldn't need to keep everybody, but he just doesn't seem terribly interested in the gold itself.
Maybe it's cursed. I mean,
Am I the only one who feels like that was out of left field?
he can turn into smoke. I have an entire house served by bugs. I'm not sure what's out of left field at this point, even.
Remind me about your bugs again. Thank you.
Jack, do you think there's any connection other than the one we're making, that it might be good to talk to other people in the money loaning business, shall we say? Do you think there's any connection between this disappearance and, I mean, the one commonality I see is that these are both performing artists Abel was a much higher profile actor, of course, but Ames is also a performing artist, excels at what he does. Is there any connection between these two cases, do you think?
So you bring up an interesting point, and the way that I see there's a connection depends on a few things. The interest in Abel wasn't because of his value as an entertainer. It was because of his entrancing personality. Now you're an entertainer, and you are similarly newly dispossessed of some entrancing abilities. You would be very useful. If someone like Ames goes missing and he's just a lowly entertainer, what are the chances that he also has come into some new gifts?
I also hadn't quite thought about it that way, that I may be a potential target as well.
Jack, do you know who owns the Tilt a Whirl?
No, but I can tell you the lady who runs it is June Perkins, and she is a spitfire.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't we discover that Frank had kind of bankrolled the event the other night? Maybe there's some connection to him getting money and getting these locations, buying these locations so he can put the squeeze on perhaps these artists or something with powers, with abilities.
So Abel had to have done something to put himself on Frank's notice. And then Frank puts together this gala to honor him, just to corner him in the middle of everyone and force him into a job?
Well, that and it exposed the one person that he knew Abel cared about. I mean, if we hadn't been there, he'd be dead today.
That's true. Which gets his point across about turning Frank down. So, Miss Calloway, I don't think you're in any danger, because I don't think anybody knows what you can, unless that's changed today.
Well, I hope that's true. I am relatively certain that both at the gala the other night and at the bank yesterday, I was able to immerse everyone present in the illusions I was creating, but I don't know what kind of surveillance was potentially outside of my zone of influence.
Good questions.
All right, so we got a lead. It's not necessarily into Frank. It's into someone who loans money. We know Frank owes someone money, or is at least trying to raise it for some reason. We also know he's spending money like crazy, and he's doing it to try to influence people to get more money? We know that he knocked over a jewelry store, and the only thing he took were special order gloves. We know that he turns a whole dude into gold, and he walks away. Not only is he not interested in it, although he does tell one of his guys to take care of it, he also doesn't care about it being found. He didn't take a lot of care with it. He just walked away. He knows he's not incriminatable. Go ahead.
Jack, based off what you know of, well, the lay of the city, where he was going to leave that, well, that statue, whose territory would that have been in? Maybe he's leaving them as tags or markers to let the other families know what he can do.
MC, can I make a check?
Yes, investigate, please. Unless you feel that there might be a better role on that.
I think that sounds quite appropriate.
Then I think that is great. And you have several tags that would come into play here.
I do.
I don't know about you guys. This is exciting. All right.
Do I have anything going against me?
Not at this time. Nope.
Then I think I'm operating with a power of 6 because I have the tags common sense, logical deduction, when I see it, I'll know, private dick, knows every street, and asking questions.
I think I'll see it when I see it. I'll know may not really apply here because you're trying to do a recall more than
Alright.
looking at something. So I think that one there, and then maybe asking questions because you're not again asking a direct question of something. You're more
I'm
like I
not
said,
actively investigating right now.
right. So you're trying to do more of a recall. However, I think the other ones still apply.
All right. Rolling investigate with a power of 4.
Awesome. Nice. Okay. Well,
I don't even see it yet. I'm not in the right. There we go. Oh, 11. All right.
11. Nice. Well done. So
That's 4 clues.
yeah, that's 4 clues. So the first clue, let's go ahead and nail that one out of the park. Yes, this is a territory that you know. This is the territory of a Russian family, the head of which is named I'm going to try to read my own handwriting.
Yeah.
Yevgeny Kharkov. And that's Kharkov. Yevgeny is Yevgeny. Yevgeny Kharkov. Ruthless. He is. They call him the bear. And he, from what you know of him, that is an appropriate name. He's a large man. His suits are mostly ill-fitting, not because they're too big, but because some of them are too short, to the point where he usually walks around without a jacket, his sleeves rolled up. His fists look like they've been through more fights than a heavyweight boxer. He may know English, but if he does, he refuses to speak it, relying only on Russian. A nasty scar, a bald head, always seems to have stubble, but he always seems to be well dressed. He has a penchant for taking care of things on his own. And he never backs down from a threat, instead rushing at it headlong, to the chagrin of his own right hand and lieutenants. He is he's best known for moving weapons. And his newest prize is straight out of Russian born, can take the damage from anything better than even the Bar or the Browning or the Thompson. They've known to be able to throw it in dirt, pick it up, and continue to fire. It spits out a nasty round and can do a lot of damage quickly.
Well, obviously, I'm relaying all this to everyone.
Sure. So another clue that you can get from this, we're going to go ahead and talk about the families themselves. There in the past, each one of the families that you've talked about so far, Castelloni, Hogan, and even Kharkov, have all been at each other's throat. They're very territorial. And Dr. White, even you have noticed that the number of run-ins with other families hasn't been as large as it was in the past. As though there's an agreement or a truce somewhere about them. Kharkov's territory...
Oh.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. What was your question?
I was just wondering, would my company be under, like, protections from any certain families?
Your company, not so much, mainly because it doesn't deal in a lot of assets that they would want to control and trade. They may find a shipment of something that they find interesting, and it suddenly and mysteriously leaves the docks before anybody can get their hands on it. But protection racket doesn't seem to be, not for your company anyway.
Okay.
So, Kharkov ran the area that you guys were, where the statue was being left. The tension in the family seems to have been reduced lately. Leaving a gold statue may have sent a message, but you don't think that was the case. And as I can't remember who pointed it out, he did tell the driver, take care of this, as though he wanted to clean it up, not necessarily leave it there. Your recall on that conversation from your friends. The last clue you have is that you do remember that it's owned by Miss Perkins herself. June owns it. Which, it's not a neighborhood that would normally... She's kind of a fish out of water in that neighborhood. It's not high class. It's also not like, the Village downtown. But it caters to mostly one particular clientele that she is not a part of that group. However, she seems to have no troubles with anyone. And they all seem to, the people that come to the Tilt-A-Whirl, toe the line, but it's kind of a mix of individuals. So it's definitely not the Copacabana. But it's a pretty nice place. All right. And that's what you know.
All right, sounds good. For the group, I just updated our group notes, or game notes channel.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
I would like to make a phone call to
Who would you like to call?
Professor Sasha Dalton, a professor of philosophy, and someone who mentioned someone named Hogan in their class about a week ago.
All right.
So
you have her personal number, and you make a quick phone call. Robert, you're calling at a rather late hour.
Yes, hi Sasha, I do apologize. Now, this may be a very, very, very odd question. But, didn't you say a while ago that, you had someone named Hogan? Last name of Hogan?
Yes.
In one of your classes?
Yes. Bartholomew. Yes, Bartholomew Hogan.
Right. Has he ever mentioned anything about his family? Like, you...
I assume you mean his family that may have contacts with ne'er-do-wells? Yes, he practically trips over himself talking about it all the time.
Really? Okay, that's good to know. Could you
He's
just
a bit of a boaster.
What... Just tell me about what he has said, if you don't mind. This is a very odd question. I know.
Yes, it is an odd question. Are you sure this can't wait for the morning? Or, better yet, why don't we have dinner? Have you eaten yet?
Yes, and I would love to...
Oh, shame. A drink,
I would
then.
love to... Oh, definitely. And I would love to see you, but I'm sort of getting over something, unfortunately, at the current moment.
Bad breakup. I didn't know you were dating.
No. Yes, I apologize, and we definitely need to catch up. It's been a while. My last few weeks have been rather busy. But
I almost
if
feel
you
as though
could...
you're ducking me, Robert.
I would never. Never. That would be rude of me, practically.
Yes, it would. Anyways, Bartholomew talks mostly about an uncle who got him into the college, paying for his tuition. Timothy or Timmy is what they call him. Rather childish name, but anyways, he talks about how his uncle can do anything, and anybody who threatens his fragile male ego is immediately turned upon with vitriol and says, "My uncle will take care of you. You can't talk to me that way. Do you know who I am?" And all those sort of things. The brusqueness of children.
Ugh.
Anyways, why these questions?
So yes, my company has recently entered a contract with I believe it was that Timothy Hogan, and I was just it was a rather large contract, and I was just sort of rather hoping if I could get some information, and I remembered you mentioned something.
Well, I can tell you that Bartholomew is rather boorish, and I hope that his uncle isn't the same.
I do as well. I should be meeting him rather soon to discuss things. So,
Sure. Was there anything else, Robert?
No. But how does what day of the week is it?
Let's see. That was Wednesday, Thursday. This would actually be Friday.
Oh, okay. How does lunch sound on Monday?
Are you
Brand
having me
new?
on? Are you having me
No.
on?
No, like, this is lunch.
All right. You're buying. And
Of
nothing
course.
on the university. I want
Definitely
at least a
not.
nice deli off campus.
Sounds lovely.
All right. I'm holding you to it. I'll see you at lunchtime. Monday.
All right.
Have a good night,
See
Robert.
you there. You as well. You as well.
All right.
I return to the group and say, so there was a nephew of the Timothy, and he seems very sure that his uncle can do whatever he pleases. Not sure that's how much help that is, but we do now know he has a nephew in the university, so we can use that if necessary.
We can use that, or they're already using that. So they've got someone at your place of employment, somebody from another family, or one of these families visited Dr. White at his place of employment. That doesn't seem like a coincidence to me.
Well, I do believe this Bartholomew is less of a agent of the family and more just part of the actual biological family. More of a coattails rider than anything else. I
That
say
doesn't
is...
mean they're not still getting information about you from him.
I mean, I've never interacted with him is the thing. So I'm not sure... I'm not even sure I'm on their radar is the thing. Though now I'm going to have to possibly get a contract with Timothy, because that might cause problems. But that's nothing you have to worry about. Possibly. I don't know. I need more tea.
Vespa, as if on cue, appears to let you know that dinner is being served.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Vespa. Shall we take this to the dining room?
Dinner is
Yeah.
mostly vegetables with a small roast that you're pretty sure it's just a pot roast.
Jack, what time are we supposed to be at the club?
Oh, she didn't exactly give me a curtain call.
What time would you like to be there?
Well, there's no such thing as fashionably early. So let's say 8 or 9 o'clock. We've got time.
All right, then dinner it is.
The
And
dinner
I-
is wonderfully cooked. Go ahead, Dr. White.
I was to say, as we're eating, a couple of these pieces are starting to not even connect, but just the ideas of what Yvonne said about people talking to us and this ceasefire and seeing the ceasefire between the groups and this huge amount of money being spent. It seems like almost the idea of them making a move together. They spend so much time squabbling over square feet of the city. What if they've decided to work together? I mean, I was approached about helping out if people were injured. They were trying to get Abel, who could talk however he wanted to large groups of people, and they'd hear, whatever it was he wanted them to hear. And if there are people who have watched us, who have seen us, I mean, there's no reason I should have been at that gala. I think that in all the hecticness of it, I found that note on my desk at work. I don't know about anybody else. Yvonne, I suppose I can understand, but do either of you have a reason you would have been invited to that?
I mean, my uncle was invited to practically everything, and it seems like all his invitations, as soon as he passed on, unfortunately, have been granted to me, so it seemed like just another one of my uncle's causes.
Oh, you can just go ahead and say it. I stick out like a sore thumb there.
Yes.
That is definitely not the kind of thing I normally get any to.
When I saw your car pull up, Professor, for a brief moment I saw what was driving your car. Who's to say that whoever has these abilities, these connections to things, like, say, a connection to Midas, can't see through and see what's around you at all times of the day?
Well, if that's the case, he is a tremendous actor because he did not let on when the professor and I were disguised as his henchmen and Abel. He treated us as if that's who he was interacting with. So if he saw through that charade, he did not let on. He did not skip a beat.
I want to say something there. When you're doing whatever it is that you do, Miss Calloway, I don't see through it either. And I see through all the rest of the weird stuff you guys have been up to. If it's just something weird, like a bug driving a car or a man turning into smoke, it seems like people's brains just sort of slide off it, and ours don't. But you're like targeting people with your misdirection. I think it's different.
It's true. And I've often thought, I mean, obviously this is a newer experience, but I've wondered, it's so connected to what I've done my entire career. And I've spent so much time wondering if this is a growth or an extension of what I can already do as a performer, or if something targeted me with these abilities because I already have those skills, if that makes sense. And so maybe there is an element that because this is so close to what I can already do and am trained to do, that it carries more weight. I don't know. I don't understand how any of this works.
Yeah, I realize I may have just read too many spy novels as a kid, but I suppose everyone just be extra careful and look over your shoulder more often. See if there's someone that you see repeatedly watching you.
Dinner is delicious. It's not over seasoned, and the roast is not dry, which is capital on Johnson. Eventually, though, you realize you've got to make your way to the Tilt-A-Whirl, and I assume you're going to be taking one of the two cars there. All right.
I was just going to say, should we take two should we take two cars just to sort of not put us all together when we go to the place, just in case it
I'm
we
happy to have
missed-
Paul
yeah.
drive as well. I do think that your car should maybe be the closer one, because, you know, Paul has been my driver for a long time. My car is rather recognizable. We don't want to draw too much attention, and I can have him stationed a block or two away so that we do have backup if necessary.
All right, perfect.
Sorry, I would offer you guys a ride, but I left my car in the shop in February.
2 years ago.
Of 43.
I am going to before we leave. I'm going to grab some specimen, just in case things go sideways, so to speak. And I head upstairs, grab a few test tubes full of my bugs, put them in my pockets, and
Am I the only one that gets worried when he says things like that about what we might have just eaten?
that was pork, I assure you. I wouldn't want to eat my my staff. That would be rude.
All right, so you head out to making a move from this awkward conversation. You guys head outside to take your appropriate rides. Who is riding in what vehicle? So, Professor, you're taking both cars, I assume. Paul's driving, Yvonne, and I know Yvonne's getting in that one. You're a driver. What was his name? Bruce?
Johnson.
Bruce? Jonathan? Johnson? They're all just named Johnson?
They're all, except for Vespa.
Except for Vespa, they're all Johnson. Got it. That makes it easy for me to remember. Johnson driver is waiting, and I assume you're taking your own vehicle. Are we going to put two to a vehicle? And if that's the case, Jack, are you going to be riding with Johnson driver and Professor Owens?
It looks that way. Yeah, sure. That sounds terrifying. Let's do that.
All right. Yvonne, Paul opens the door and, helps you and, offers a hand for you. As he does, he stops for a second and he kind of like touches your shoulder, Dr. White, and he points out the door. And as you turn, you can see Vespa standing there. And he goes, "Hey, Doc, who's the dame with the gams?"
Oh, I think she's taken.
Shame. All right. And he lets you into the car, closing the door, and he climbs into the seat. You give your respective drivers. I'm just looking at Jack down there with his hat down. You give your respective drivers their instructions, and the Tilt-A-Whirl is going at full tilt at this time. You can see that there is not a long line, but there are short lines, and people are moving in and out of the building, and cars are being called for, taxis are being hailed. Paul stops the vehicle, as does Johnson driver, or driver Johnson, and you guys pile out of vehicles. Paul says that he will find a decent place to park and meet you inside in case you're ready for him or need him. Johnson Driver just looks at you and goes, he just points at the seat he's sitting in. All right.
Yes.
You make your way into the Tilt-A-Whirl, and the music is playing. It is a big band night, and that is a full orchestra up there on that stage, and they are pounding away. You can see they are all wearing the white coats, the white tuxedo jackets with black ties underneath, and the conductor himself is wearing the same thing. The music dies down to a dull roar as they get ready to spin up for the next number. As you enter in, you see that there is a beautiful young lady in a skirt, almost pencil skirt that comes down to her knees, and she has a pillbox hat on, and the uniform, which has a wide lapel, and it's definitely the uniform for the Tilt-A-Whirl. The hat sits askew, and as you come in, she says, "Gentlemen, may I take your coats?"
No, thank you. I'll keep mine, actually.
Same. Bit chilly.
Thanks. You can take my hat.
And she takes your hat and gives you the hat check number. In this particular case, she looks over at Yvonne, and her face just goes for a second. Are you Yvonne Calloway?
Yes. I'm trying to keep a bit of a low profile tonight, so
Mum's the
I
word.
understand. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. A girl's got to get out every once in a while. Can I take your coat?
If my friends are going to keep theirs, I'll hang on to mine as well. Thank you.
Of course. And she motions you to the host who is seating people. He looks at the four of you, looks at you, Yvonne, for a moment, and just says, "Welcome."
Thank you.
This way. And he leads you all to a table to have a seat. It's kind of not close. It's kind of midway between the entrance and the stage, and the band is picked up at one of the newer tunes. It's a driving number. It's got a lot of energy to it, and the conductor is just really getting into it. What are you guys doing? First of all,
Would I
Mr.
know
Go ahead.
would I know the face of Timothy Hogan? No. Okay. Then I am not going to search the crowd for Timothy Hogan.
No, but you can try to look around to see if there's anybody that seems to have that mafia rank and file look to them. The table with a lot of goons in ill-fitting suits.
Okay. That would be an investigator, I'm assuming.
That would be.
Okay.
You can
would
recognize the Hogans because they have sleeves missing on their suits and the big red bandanas.
Would I be able to use high quality contacts from my
Well done.
from Uncle Oliver's holdings?
I don't think this would be a high quality contact.
Okay.
Just simply because he's still at the end of the day, he's not an upstanding businessman. So
all right. So that's just a straight up and down investigate, unless there's any. I'm just rolling before you can put any negatives on that. That's a 7.
Oh, goodness me. I will say it probably many times while this show goes on, but I love you guys. All right, so you take a look around the room. Your eyes do light upon a table. You can see there's a man probably in his early 50s. He has a very nice suit. He is currently he has a plate sitting in front of him, but he's not really eating. He's more picking at it than eating it. And you can see there is a glass in front of him, and it is about halfway full of something that has amber and the traces of bubbles around the edges of it. And you can see as your eyes land, there is a rather large fellow standing behind him. And he just kind of glowers at you for a moment as you lock eyes on him. And he looks back. Like, move along.
I sort of just like nod my head and go back to like, I don't know. Have you been served drinks yet?
No, a
No,
server is making her way through the rounds. You guys will be served shortly.
All right.
As you look around, you can again see they're all wearing the same kind of uniform outfit, but the men are wearing pants that are pegged all the way to the ground and they're like pencil straight. They have vests on and collars, and the circular, like, it's almost like a pillbox hat, but it's not quite. But they're wearing that hat on their head. The women wear something very similar, except it's a skirt instead of pants. As you're watching, though, there is a voice, a purring voice in your ear, Jack. Oh, I wasn't sure if you were really going to show up or not. Who are your friends?
Sitting up straighter. Why, Miss Perkins, how could I turn down your very generous invitation? This is Dr. Alexander White.
Pleasure. And she holds her hand out.
This is my friend Professor Owens.
Professor.
Pleasure meeting
Holds
you.
hands up.
And this is Yvonne Keller.
Oh, I know who that is.
Thank you for having us this evening. You have a lovely
Oh.
establishment.
Thank you very much. I'm sure it's not nearly as fine as many of the establishments that you find yourself in frequently.
Not at all. It's lovely. We're happy to be here.
Well, I am happy to have you here, and I am going to make sure someone gets a picture of you here. It will do nothing but add prestige to this place.
It would be my pleasure.
Thank you very much for adding a bit of airs to this drab setting sometimes. Have any of you been served? And she motions someone over, and you can see there was somebody in the middle of taking orders, and he sees her motioning. He just stops what he's doing and beelines straight for your table. He has his pad up. What can I get for you folks? Order drinks all the way around.
Old-fashioned.
An old-fashioned. Yes. Gentlemen?
Gin and tonic, please.
Certainly.
Same, but tonic, gin.
Understood. Light on the tonic, heavy on the gin.
Show it some ice.
Absolutely, we'll do so.
Bourbon on the rocks, please.
Absolutely. Would you like to crash that gin into the rocks, or would you rather just have a smattering?
Just a smattering.
Certainly. So he disappears for a moment. She says, Jack, have you made any progress on your investigation?
Frankly, it's only been a matter of hours. Hasn't been a lot of places to kick rocks.
Unfortunate.
Would you mind pointing out which one of these gentlemen might be
I'm sorry? You cut out. I apologize.
Timothy?
Happily. And she leans down so she can purr in your ear. You can see that she traded the peach-colored dress for a beautiful gown that's done in like a purple with an iridescent kind of like shimmer to it. It goes all the way to the ground and trains just a little bit. It has a slit that shows off, even at her age, shapely legs. And she leans down to purr in your ear, and she puts a finger just at the side of your nose and says, do you see the brutish-looking man standing in the corner?
Yes.
Timothy sits in his shadow. And you can see the guy that Professor Owens may have laid eyes on earlier. He's sitting there now, and he's got the what is clearly a beer in his hand, and he's just kind of circling it around. And he drinks it and puts it down. She goes, he comes in and orders a beer every time. Never from the tap, always from the bottle. Oh, it's the strangest thing. You know, I have to keep some on just for him. He's the only one that drinks it.
That's very interesting, and you are very helpful.
Of course, anything for you, Jack. And she traces a finger along your shirt, your shoulder. Well, if you need anything, I am at your beck and call. It is a pleasure to meet all of your acquaintances. And with that, she darts off with a wave at someone, and she makes her way to another table, making the rounds, as it were.
Lady and gentlemen, I think she just checked to see whether I'm wearing a holster, which is the whole reason I didn't take off my coat. I don't trust that lady. She's too fast.
I mean, she seems nice enough.
Judging by the look of the place, I imagine strapped is the norm.
No audio. Yvonne, we didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm sure she's just protecting her place, wants to get the lay of the land.
Yeah. Land. That's what she wanted to get the lay of.
Your drinks are served, and the music picks back up. The number dies down after a few moments, and the conductor turns and says, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break here, but please enjoy the soft tunes of our special tonight." And about that time, you see a young man dressed in a suit that you can tell is department store bought and not tailor-made. He has in front of him a trumpet, and it's an unusual-looking trumpet. It's small and compact. You get the idea, oh, it's not a trumpet, it's a cornet. And as he sets up to play, he blows tunes that are just mesmerizing. As you're sitting there, Jack, you feel something at your shoulder, but you don't see anybody.
Well, that makes me nervous. Trying to surreptitiously look around.
Okay, give me an investigate.
Let's do Private Dick. I'll know it when I see it, I'll know.
Okay.
And if there's nothing immediately there, do you think bullshit detector would apply?
Absolutely.
All right. And I think my weakness tag of like a sore thumb might also apply to me trying to be secretive about this.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Because you're not really being secretive. You're like...
Right. I'm trying to kind of hide it in a drink. That sort of thing.
Sure.
Not my strong suit.
Go ahead and give me that roll, sir.
That's a 10.
That is a 10. As you look around, you can see, and we're going to give you those two clues. The first clue you see is there's a young server. He is carrying a tray in the traditional position here at his shoulders, and for some reason, it just topples out of his hand. He didn't stumble or anything. It doesn't look like his hand dropped, but the tray like tumbled. And he grabs it. There's unfortunately a crashing sound, and it disrupts the music of the cornet for a moment. There's a pause. And then after he apologizes and starts cleaning up the mess, you can see June looking at him questioningly. And he just shrugs and keeps cleaning up the mess, and then takes the tray and moves towards the service area. This is the other clue, is right before he hits the door for the service area, moments like he's still cleaning it up, you look up and see the service door kind of open and close, but it doesn't look like anybody pushed it. There's not a physical person there to push it.
If you guys will excuse me, I think there's somebody watching us.
Do what you need to do.
Yes.
I'm standing up and heading towards Miss June.
Okay, you head towards Miss June. She looks over at you and she kind of gives you a quizzical look.
I'm nodding over towards the guy with the tray and saying, "Does that happen a lot?"
Never. It's a first for me.
Yeah, I think he bumped into someone. You mind if I look around?
Not at all, Jack. Feel free to take a look around.
And I'm going to head towards the swinging door.
Okay. Yeah, you push the service door open, and you can see people bustling about in there. Trays are being loaded with food, and you can see that there are, the kitchen staff are doing their thing as well as the wait staff and the servers and everybody.
Looking around for flour, sugar, a powder.
You have to move a little bit further in the kitchen, but yeah, it's easy enough to find.
Done. Moving through the kitchen.
Okay.
Holding my hands out to the sides as I walk through open spaces.
Okay. As you approach, you can see people are like, there's one particular, he looks like maybe he was a fighting man, but has turned to a life less violent. As he looks at you and says, "What are you doing here? You do not belong."
Miss Perkins said it's okay. I'm gonna make a little bit of a mess, but I'll take care of it.
I hope you do, and not in my kitchen. Go.
I'm walking towards the flour, grabbing a handful of it, and heading towards whatever door is at the other end.
Okay. You can see that there is an exit that back out to one of the alleys on the side. As you make your way that direction, you hear something say, "There's no need for that. I promise you. I noticed that Miss Perkins was talking to you, and I need your help, man."
Trying to get a beat on the direction and throwing.
You kind of get it. He's standing kind of like behind your right shoulder. And you just throw it in that direction?
Just turning and throwing it in a spray.
You see that it covers, and as it does, like the Invisible Man or something, it covers, and you can see a face that kind of, you see the flower scrunch at the eyelids where they kind of would open. You see, and like it spit out a little bit. "I told you didn't need to do that. Oh, it's raw. Oh, that's just flour."
Moving forward and grabbing this person, this invisible person, and moving them towards to try to make sure there's no way out.
"Oh, I told you, man, stop. You don't have to hurt me. I promise. I'm not going to fight you. I need your help."
All right, start talking.
"You may or may not believe me, but my name is Ames. Ames Horning."
You're the missing jazz musician.
Missing? That's a statement. I can't even be seen.
Wait a minute, you're telling me you've been like this for days?
Look, it's a story I gotta tell, but I don't know that it's safe. I've been hanging out here as long as I can. I've been trying to do everything I can to be seen, but I don't know who to trust anymore.
What's your wife's name?
Oh, that's easy. Her name's Betty. Betty Horning.
And she has a
Been
friend
married 5
named...
years now.
She got a friend named Mary, right?
Yeah, married to that officer. He and I don't talk a whole lot, but yeah, I know who he is.
All right, I believe you.
Look, I don't know who to trust, but I heard you was looking for me, and that means that Betty got word out that I'm gone or missing. I hope I can trust you.
Where's that door go?
That door there behind us, that one goes out to the alleyway.
If you go out there and wait, you think you'll be hidden?
Man, I can't be seen. Yeah, I'll be pretty hidden.
Go out there and wait.
Sure thing. And you watch as a towel is lifted off of one of the countertops, and the flour is wiped off, and then the door opens and closes. And boy, does he have a story to tell you. but that story will wait till next week as we get into the second part of Ames and Misses. I have been your MC, Heath, and I am joined by the amazingly talented individuals around me. Let's go ahead and get introductions again. Let's start as we did at the top of the hour. Colton, tell us a bit about yourself, sir.
All right, my name is Colton. I'm online at ColtonX9 on Twitter Colton Z9 on Twitter, Colton X9 on Instagram, and that's about it.
Any other projects that you are currently working on, sir? Anything that you would like to make us
yes.
aware of?
I am going to be DMing a Roll for Change charity event on Saturday at 6 o'clock Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Along with Heath, who's one of my players.
One of the rare occasions where I actually play a game and don't run one. Awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
And you said, what time is that? 6 p.m. Pacific?
6 p.m. Pacific, yes.
That's 8 Central. Awesome. All right. Let's throw it over to Rev.
I am Rev. I am the host and GM of The Crit Show, which is an actual play podcast where we play Monster of the Week and other Powered by the Apocalypse games, all under the umbrella of the same dimension-hopping story. This weekend, I will be at AcadeCon in Ohio running some games along with some other cast members. So if you are around, I think there's still some slots available for Worlds in Peril, maybe even a lot of bubblegum. But I know Monster of the Week is all the seats are taken. So you can find me at Rev Deshane on Twitter.
Excellent. All right, Nix.
Hey, I am Nix. You can find me on Twitter at NixTesseract and on Instagram at Nix_Tesseract. This is a little bit off in the future yet, but in January, I'm going to be at Midwinter Gaming Convention running 2 sessions of this game, actually, City of Mist. So if you're going to be at Midwinter up in Milwaukee, come see me and we'll play a little bit of City of Mist. If you are local to the Chicago area, I am appearing in a show at the end of the month, La Strada. It is it's 7 female clowns telling a story of Federico Fellini and the women in his life. And it is November 21st through 24th at City Lit Theater.
Sounds awesome. All right. And again, last but never least, Carl.
Hello, I am Carl Jordan. You can find me on Twitter as RPG Carl. My other project I'm very excited about is an Aberrant live play game that's on the Onyx Path official channel. And our story guide, Kyle, is often here on We Are Nerdsmith doing projects as well. And he's also going to be at a Catacon and has an open call for anyone who wants to play games with.
He's great. If you can get a chance to get in and play, it's a lot of fun.
And I wanted to mention to Colton, watch out for Heath as a player. He's creative.
Good to know.
I don't know what you mean. I'm playing a perfectly fine wizard. Once again, I'm your MC. My name is Heath. Thank you all for joining us. You can find me on Monday nights on twitch.tv/DireBearGM, where I run The Escorts, a homebrew D&D 5e game. I am also here every Wednesday running Obscurum for all of you lovely folks. Again, we are doing in the midst of Nerds Giving, so please dig deep if you can. Any of your donations are greatly appreciated. We are trying to reach a goal of $5,000 so that we can send a large donation to them. It's called the Ark, and it gives them 2 of a lot of different animals that they can start up their own process and farms and things like that. So please help us to end hunger through Heifer International. Again, proceeds from your donations, bits, things like that, all go towards those. So we really appreciate it. And speaking of Nerds Giving, we do have that coming up tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Right here on We Are Nerdsmith. So tune into that. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's rabbits, and who doesn't love rabbits? I mean, I do personally.
You're about to have stew.
Stop that. But they're also fuzzy and cute.
They are.
Anyways, and if you want to chat with me, I am around on the Twitterverse as @DireBearAC. And this has been a fun time tonight. Tune in next week to catch the last part of Ames and Misses. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have a good night, guys.